Tonight on PhillyCAM Voices, the coronavirus pandemic, several businesses and restaurants are shutting down to fight the spread of the virus. Many have lost their jobs, and how the crisis is hurting workers. Coping with staying at home, we talk with doctors within the city of Philadelphia about maintaining your mental health during the crisis, plus how SEPTA is responding to the outbreak. Good evening, and thank you for tuning in to PhillyCAM Voices. I am your host, Amanda Johnson. Several businesses and restaurants in Philadelphia are closed to promote social distancing and stop the spread of the COVID-19. Monica Robinson takes a look at how it's taking a toll on workers.
Non-essential businesses in Philadelphia and across our region are closed in an effort to stop the spread of COVID-19.
We're committed to taking care of our citizens and to trying to keep our businesses be able to rebound when this is over.
Some essential businesses that remain open are supermarkets, pharmacies, and post offices. Restaurants can only stay open for delivery and pickup. We found two friends who went to park in Rittenhouse Square to grab one last drink and a meal before the shutdown.
It kind of startled us to think that it's actually this serious.
Everything's shutting down around us, and it's just sad to see.
Many restaurants, coffee houses, and retail shops have signs that read, "We are closed." Center City, which is usually bustling with people, looks like a ghost town. The Marriott on Market Street is Pennsylvania's biggest hotel with more than 1,400 rooms, but hotel union officials say only a few dozen customers are there. Catherine Payne used to work at the Marriott as a housekeeper. She is among several thousand hotel staff citywide who have been laid off during the outbreak. Payne recently bought a house.
So to not have that money, wow, it's like, what do you do? Because I have no savings. I have a big loan that I just took out that I have to pay back, credit card debt, utilities, mortgage, so it's a lot on my plate.
City officials urge people to apply for unemployment benefits.
We recognize the critical need to support businesses and workers during this unprecedented time.
The city has set up a COVID-19 Small Business Relief Fund. You can find more information at phila.gov. I'm Monica Robinson reporting for PhillyCAM Voices.
Nannies, maids, and drivers. Many domestic workers in Philadelphia have lost their jobs because of the coronavirus outbreak, and now they're asking for financial help from the city.
On Thursday, March 26th, over 400 Philadelphians gathered virtually to listen to stories of low-wage workers impacted by COVID-19. Organized by a coalition led by the National Domestic Workers Alliance and Jobs with Justice, the organizers had two main demands for the mayor and city council.
There are also so many workers who do not qualify for state or federal relief packages like unemployment. This is why the first of our two demands from the city government is to create an emergency mayoral fund for workers who do not qualify for other kinds of assistance.
From house cleaners to grocery store workers, participants described the immediate impact COVID-19 has had on their work and their lives.
He perdido todo mi empleo por el COVID-19. Nuestro trabajo es crucial porque cuidamos lo más íntimo y valorado de las personas, como sus hijos, sus abuelos, sus hogares. Estamos en primera línea para mantener nuestras familias y comunidades saludables, y por lo tanto nuestro trabajo es digno y debe ser respetado.
I am an essential worker. I am a nanny. I have family and friends who are nannies. Within my organization, there are nannies, housekeepers, home health aides, elderly care workers, and those who work with special needs adults and children. There is a pandemic, not only in Philadelphia, but in the world. What this pandemic has shown us is that people like myself who leave our homes and families daily to make all other jobs possible are the first to feel the weight of this pandemic.
On April 1st, the U.S. Department of Labor announced new paid sick leave and expanded family and medical leave assistance. However, local counties continued to fight to ensure this covers all workers.
Our second demand calls for an emergency expanded sick leave of 112 hours or 14 days for all Philly workers. We need City Council to make this immediately accessible and for all workers, regardless of their immigration status or whether they're in a union.
My name is Denise Major, and I'm a home care worker with the United Home Care Workers of PA. I've been caring for my son since 2004 when he got shot. I work presently 365 days, sometimes 366 days a year, and this has been occurring since 2012. I am not afforded an opportunity to have a sick day, a vacation day, nor holiday pay. And I don't even want to get into the fact that there's no Social Security being paid into for me because I'm a parent caring for my child. And I'm not even entitled to unemployment. I just want to know, I stand with politicians, I stand with anyone that needs assistance. Right now with this COVID virus, I need to know who's going to stand with us, all of us that get out and speak for politicians. Now it's time for y'all to try to step up for us. Thank you.
While 10 out of 17 city council members joined the town hall expressing their support for these demands, the administration has not yet signed on.
You know, I hear your stories. I know they're real because I've experienced them myself firsthand. And my office is continually working to make sure that we have some legislation to support our workers during this pandemic. And then we still have the aftermath, what it's going to look like later.
Your demands, and I absolutely think they are incredibly important. I think one of the scariest things about this epidemic that we're facing right now is that it not only poses a significant public health risk, but it has the potential of kind of pulling the bottom out from under people if we let it. And I think, you know, that we're seeing all of the inequities that exist in our society on a good day being amplified by this crisis. And so I think we have to both address this on the health side and address this on the economic side to make sure that we are supporting workers.
This is really, I think, an unfortunate circumstance, but it is a great opportunity for us to take advantage of the city's plan on the bill that was introduced today to bring $85 million in money in terms of a spending that we're going to do around the coronavirus to reduce the total effects of the virus and what they would have on the city. Councilwoman Gauthier was the first who brought up the question about workers and worker protection. So I want to thank her for that. But moving forward, I think that we as a council can use this as an opportunity to say, if we don't pass worker protections for everyone who is affected, then we're not going to pass anything out of council.
While some council members commit to pushing for full coverage for all workers, they worry about the time it may take to get relief directly into the pockets of those who need it most.
I just want to encourage people who are on the call and for even folks who are not on the call that you might know that's in your network, if there's things that we can do now to support people and to help people while we take time to establish this fund and to figure out exactly where those dollars come from and how those dollars get allocated to citizens, because that's going to be a multi-layer process. I want to let folks know that we're still here for them, whether it's a food issue, a utility issue, a housing issue, to please communicate those concerns to the different members of council so we can be here to support. Because again, I'm assuming that most of my colleagues on the call are going to agree to the request that's being made and going to agree to support. But there's gonna be a big gap between the time we have this call and the time somebody actually gets some dollars. And so, and that's if we get enough votes and if there's enough support to be able to do this.
In Philadelphia, these demands are part of an ongoing fight to increase rights for workers and ensure enforcement of existing progressive labor laws.
Health pandemics don't break our system. They show us what's already broken within an existing system. That means we are going to have to remind ourselves of what the fight has looked like before. We pulled together to bring forward, a historic domestic workers Bill of Rights. We fought for a fair work week together. What we made sure of was that we stood together, united, and that we prioritized the voices of people who would most count. And we talked about what the consequences were. And when we leave behind our undocumented workers, when we leave behind domestic workers, when we leave behind our gig workers, when we leave them behind, it means we erase them from our stories.
While organizing and pressure continues to mount online, council members express the need for Philadelphians to show support for these demands as they take their fight to City Council. For PhillyCAM Voices, I'm Laura Deutsch.
A stay-at-home order is in place to promote social distancing. So what can you do to maintain your mental health during the quarantine? We talk with a medical professional for some answers.
My name is Sosunmola Shoyinka. I'm the Chief Medical Officer for the City of Philadelphia's Department of Behavioral Health and Intellectual Disability Services. Staying connected is probably the most important thing we can do. Staying connected with loved ones, colleagues, friends, that's really important. I think also being very intentional about implementing relaxation techniques, things like exercise, mindfulness, meditation, prayer, paying attention to rest and nutrition, and staying hydrated. These things are extremely important. I think also staying informed on developments from credible sources while limiting excessive exposure to the coverage of the epidemic, of the pandemic, I think is really helpful. And then getting outside while maintaining social distance really helps. There's research that shows that just being outside in nature has a calming effect. Creating and maintaining a routine and a structure really helps. So getting up at the same time, almost as if you're going to work outside the house. For those who did work outside the house, that's very, very helpful. And then I think we all have to-do lists. Things we'd put off or wanted to learn, this would be the time to bring those things out and do them. To start with, I think keeping in mind the age and the developmental stage of the child is crucial. Obviously, we wouldn't talk to a preschooler in the same way that we would talk with a teenager. And so I think really starting with age-appropriate messaging is important. Correcting misinformation with facts and validated information. I think also really being careful to reassure children and providing and maintaining structure is really, really important. Fortunately, many school districts now have switched to online learning. And so I think that's an excellent resource that we should take advantage of. The final recommendation would be to limit screen time, particularly exposure to coverage of the pandemic, because that can just induce unnecessary anxiety. So the City of Philadelphia's Department of Public Health has a plethora of resources on the website, and it's phila.gov. If you need more information, I would recommend going to the Centers for Disease Control website, that is cdc.gov, and that is accurate, validated, up-to-date information.
As you can imagine, SEPTA ridership is down because of the coronavirus outbreak. Toya Haynes take a look at the public transportation and how SEPTA is responding.
As of March 29th, SEPTA has reported that its transit ridership is down at least 64%, and its regional rail ridership is down 94% due to COVID-19.
The safety and well-being of every employee and customer who maintains and uses SEPTA services, as always, is our top priority.
Before the pandemic, the advocacy group Transit Forward launched to amplify the voices of those dependent on public transportation. Transit Forward Philadelphia's coalition launch took place on March 5th to a packed room of citizens that are passionate about our city's public transit system. The topics that seemed to be on the forefront of the panel's agenda was the matter of equity for all citizens.
You create an excellent system by making it equitable to the people who need it the most and who rely on it. That question is going to be a question that relies largely on the public rather than on folks with official titles, because you're going to be the ones to help us figure that out.
Leslie Richards, SEPTA's newly appointed GM, stated while they are eager to make the necessary improvements to our public transportation system, it's important to realize that these matters will require patience and proper prioritization.
We are in a legacy system. A lot of our legacy system, just to remind people, some of it was designed, right, prior to SEPTA, right? SEPTA was formed because there were other railroads that had developed before the automobile was invented. I just want to remind everybody, right? There are pictures of locomotives on tracks that we are using now being pulled by horses. Now, I'm not saying our whole system's like that, but I'm just trying to give you an idea of some of the challenges that we have.
Another main topic was gaining insight from more Philadelphians from all walks of life. This includes more public forums and outreach.
We go out and listen, and I think you've got to go out and listen. I think you can't just say, this is going here because it's the right thing to do, because that's not the way to include and build a coalition of people that are going to support transit. That turns people off. So, I think we've got to go and have those conversations.
Following the meeting, we spoke with a few attendees to get their thoughts about it.
I found it very hopeful to hear the new leadership that's come to the city to take over SEPTA and this sense of working together to address these difficult challenges. There's no easy solution. We heard about the difficulty with the finances, but this positive spirit, I've been seeing that more and more in the city in a variety of different settings, and it gives me a lot of excitement and hope for our future together.
That's good. Do you feel like maybe do you have any questions that you feel were answered tonight?
Well, there were some details that I didn't think they got into. The one pass, how is that going? We live out in the suburbs. We can't use the one pass yet to go on SEPTA. When's that going to come around? We had heard the difficulty that low-income people have around getting the one pass. It's not so accessible, so I would have been interested in hearing more about those nitty-gritty details.
What were your issues coming into the meeting today?
Most definitely. I think it's designing a system that is based on transfers rather than one-seat rides, and I'm particularly interested in the issues of fares and equity and access in relation to those.
Do you feel like moving forward you'll be a part of any of the public hearings or anything that's going on?
Absolutely. I'll be at all of them.
What are you looking forward to after this?
I look forward to continuing conversation and having more multi-generational component in transportation, to have the older population front and center, not only the younger population, but it's more multi-generational, as you see here today.
SEPTA continues to move towards progress in wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. Most recently, SEPTA GM Leslie Richards addressed the ongoing need for ridership input during this time.
The overlying goal for everybody is to stay communicative and collaborative in reducing the spread of this virus. I want to publicly commend SEPTA's workforce in making sure that we are diligent in disinfecting, sanitizing, and cleaning our stations and vehicles around the clock, and amplifying appropriate announcements throughout our system to remind our customers to follow good hygiene practices, such as washing your hands before and after your trip, as well as covering coughs and sneezes. I want you to personally know that we are listening to you, our customers, who have suggestions and even feedback as to what we are doing right and what we can improve on.
To find out more, visit transitforwardphilly.org. I'm Toya Haynes for PhillyCAM Voices.
Hi, I'm Sam Cavone. I'm 17 and I go to Swenson Arts and Technology High School. Right now, I am missing my friends and some of my teachers the most because they're kind of the reason why I like going to school. They make it fun. I just miss being around people, as weird as that sounds. I'm not accessing any homework because my teachers aren't posting any, because the school district decided to shut down distance learning, so it kind of sucks that I have nothing to do. I never thought I would miss homework, and here we are. When it comes to my overall education, I'm honestly I'm scared because I don't want to have to repeat my junior year. I really just want to get on to my senior year, and I'm scared that I'll have to repeat junior year. A word that comes to mind when I think about this school year is probably crazy. I could have never predicted this. I was so upset about having no days off in March, and we have 3 weeks off in March, so it sucks. It's just been a crazy time. That's really the only word that can describe it. Adult allies can support students during this time just by reaching out. I know a lot of my teachers have been using Google Classroom and things like Zoom, video chatting, to communicate with us. So I just really hope they keep that up. I know if you're someone like me who doesn't really like to reach out to people or anything, you need that social connection, and having them reach out, and it just makes you feel better, and it's better to have someone to talk to.
In other news, more diversity is needed in Philadelphia's tech industry. What's being done to change that? Connie Combe reports.
Information technology is one of the largest and fastest growing industries in the world. The United States is the largest tech market in the world, representing 32% of the total of the approximate $1.7 trillion for 2020. A recent CompTIA report reveals that the tech sector, as a percentage of gross domestic product, exceeds that of most other industries. The Vault reports that the benefits of the IT industry are great pay, great work environment, complete medical benefits, career diversity, and many other benefits. But the diversity that's lacking is workforce diversity. I sat down with Vincent Better, the co-director of Technically Media. Technically Media are the creators of Philly Tech Week, to discuss this discrepancy.
Well, we still have a long way to go, quite frankly. I don't have numbers off the top of my head, but certainly minorities are still well underrepresented in the technology space. So if you look at the general population of Philadelphia being majority minority, the technology field certainly does not reflect that.
Vincent didn't have the numbers, but here's what's going on in the IT industry. In 2016, IT workers at Google, Microsoft, Twitter, and Facebook were on average 56% white, 37% Asian, 3% Hispanic, and 1% Black, according to the company's diversity reports. Women also were underrepresented in the tech industry, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. David Lipscomb, the president of BDPA Philadelphia, had this to say regarding diversity in the IT field.
It's important because when we look at the IT industry right now, it's not diverse. You know, we look at the percentage of people that are in positions, IT positions, and you look across the country, and we see that there's a deficit of people in the diverse jobs. You know, going from management right on down to the help desk. We see that there is a dearth of people of color.
One thing BDPA is doing is getting students involved in coding, where they participate in regional coding competitions.
We look at today, most people might say, I want to play professional sports, I want to go into entertainment. But we find that you can have a much fulfilling career in IT. IT expands everything. So when these children are given a chance to really look at the environment and see what IT is all about, they get excited and they have other options in life for which they can look to. So that diversity does help. The motto for BDPA is from the classroom to the boardroom. So you provide that pipeline right into the job market, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's corporate, and that way you really reduce the amount or you increase the amount of diversity in the industry.
I asked Vincent if he thinks the IT industry will become more diverse in the future.
I think it can change. I think it will change. There are a lot of programs that are happening. Code for Philly is one of them that really is trying to introduce technology and that tech career path to younger students, middle school and high school. Not waiting until they get to college to try to figure it out, but really introducing the opportunities at a much younger age and helping people sort of find their way into space. As long as the school district and the educational institutions are willing to make technology a part of their curriculum, then we can continue to diversify the technology pool here in Philadelphia.
I think anything that's diverse is great. I think in any industry, I think in life, when you have diversity, you have a greater path for success.
This is Connie Com for PhillyCAM Voices.
The dance troupe Cool Malay has spent 50 years entertaining audiences in our area. Karen Walker takes a look at the company's success.
Well, I think that we help keep the culture alive here in this community. We've been studying West African dance, Afro-Cuban dance, and hip-hop social dance.
We always try to say that Black history doesn't start with enslavement, but it goes before enslavement. And so with that, we claim African culture as ours as well. Because we represent a very traditional way of dance and music and culture that emphasizes respect and love, is very much welcomed in a lot of communities. The drum that I play is called the djembe drum, and it originates from West Africa, countries like Mali, Guinea, and the Ivory Coast.
And this will kind of bring them back to their roots and say, you can still enjoy and celebrate your own culture and live your professional life. Right. Like we have people that are nurses, attorneys, doctors, drummers a doctor, dancers a doctor. Wow. They're still able to work their regular day job and do overtime and still come in and dance and feel good about themselves because they're celebrating their culture.
I mean, it actually helps people with their self-esteem and how they envision life and their existence to know that they come from greatness. It's very much important for Kulumele to pass this information on to the youth, not just our own children, but also to the children of the Philadelphia community. Because you realize that one day you might not be here and that you want your children to take on that same legacy to make the world a better place.
That's how we keep it going. Our kids rise up, they grow up, and then they become a part of it.
We're celebrating our 50th year. It's just been a wonderful experience. We've been able to do a lot of beautiful things.
Hello everyone, I'm just going to do a quick video for PhillyCAM. My name is Annika Curran and I currently live in West Philly. So let's just jump right into the question of the day. How has the pandemic affected my life? So I was recently laid off due to COVID-19. I don't have it, but as some of you may be experiencing or know people who are going through the same thing, a lot of people have been laid off due to the pandemic. So COVID-19 has affected my life both financially and creatively. I rely heavily on PhillyCAM's studio time and space, so having to kind of revert back and do most of my creative work in home is taking some time to make some adjustments to that. Making the switch has not been easy for me. How am I staying resilient during this time? So that's been tough. I'm an extrovert, so it's really hard for me to stay in one place for a very long time. But how I'm staying resilient is really just tapping into other creatives who are kind of going through the same thing and seeing what they're doing to still push out their product and make sure they're delivering work constantly. What have I learned about myself? Sorry, I keep looking down. I have the questions right here. But what have I learned about myself? I've learned that I'm not as adaptable as I thought I was. I like to think I have a lot of autonomy in my life. So having these government mandates, stay-in-house orders is not really helpful for me at all. It makes me feel like I'm at the whim of the government, but I understand it's the best thing for society right now is that people stay in the house. Last but not least, what am I grateful for? Honestly, guys, I'm grateful for this ring light and I'm grateful for my phone so I can still produce work. All right, I hope everyone has a good time. Please stay safe and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.
That's all we have for this episode of PhillyCAM Voices. Thank you for joining us. You can also watch us on YouTube and Roku and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We'll see you next time.